Good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning, January 21st, 2025. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings at this time, 8 o'clock Central, to talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and support each of you. Today, you should see on the shared screen the Fundable Shelf Corp program flyer. Each of you should have a copy of that, which you can edit the call to action at the bottom. And now that we're providing you landing pages, which we talked about yesterday, most likely you'll have your landing page as where you're driving people to. But separate from that, we have our agenda today. We're going to talk about the secret to business funding. And I thought quite a bit about how to title today's topic to make it not seem cheesy, to make it applicable, but it's real. I mean, we're going to talk about the secret to business funding, and it's something that you need to know, and that you, in my opinion, you need to communicate to others. And if you don't know it, you will after today. And if you're not communicating it to others, you're probably missing an opportunity to change other people's lives for the better. And if you are a reseller, then you'd be crazy to not go tell other people what the secret to business funding is. So we'll go through that throughout today. We'll answer your questions. And then what's always the goal at the end of this Zoom? I'm just constantly amazed. I have some of you that you enroll one or multiple clients in a Fundable Shelf Corp as a reseller every day. And then some of you seem to enroll zero today, zero yesterday, zero the day before. And so I don't know, at some point you'll have to decide, are you going to act on the knowledge that you have? Because you're in a very enviable position. You know exactly how to help any client get funding, and you have a vehicle through the Fundable Shelf Corp to get them qualified. So at some point, maybe you feel, even if you don't have the economic incentive to go make money, maybe you feel the moral, the ethical incentive to help people know what you know. All right, so this is the question. I'd like you to take a moment to respond into the Q&A. It's like a chat function of Zoom. The answer to this question, it should be answered in one sentence, very commonsensical, but almost everyone gets it wrong out in the marketplace. What does it take to get business funding? What would your answer be to that question? Because if you can't answer that question after today's session, then shame on me, maybe shame on you. But this is what makes all of this relevant. What you and I do, helping clients with a Fundable Shelf Corp, it's not a shell game. It's not a scam. It's not a misrepresentation. We're helping clients be able to qualify for business funding. We need to have, as many of you just said, you need to have a fundable business. And so often we'll have clients that come to us, and sometimes even distribution partners, and they miss this point. They want money, they need money, but they're overlooking the fact we have to have a fundable business if we want business funding. So what does that mean? Let's go through in detail what that means so we're able to communicate it to others. So we're going to break it down into a few categories. Our first category, which is shared on the screen, is we need to have a fundable entity at the entity level. Not real complicated. A lot of people have this already. We need to have an entity that's formed. So it could be a LLC, C Corp, S Corp, could be for-profit, could be nonprofit, but the entity needs to be formed. Of course, it needs to have an EIN number. We know that. But it also needs to be in good standing, right? So to have a business that was formed a couple years ago that is not filing tax returns, that's not in good standing with the state or the federal government, that is not a fundable business. I commonly have clients that come to me because we'll ask them, well, what drew you to the Shelf Corp? And in many cases, they just simply, they have businesses, they've not kept them up. And if we fail at this step, nothing else matters because the business is not going to be fundable. Now, you're going to notice some asterisk behind this. And I'll tell you, there's a legend at the bottom, but what it really means is That's what we provide with the Fundable Shelf Corp. So you and I are helping solve a problem of helping people have a fundable business so they can get business funding. And you'll see the way that we built the Shelf Corp proposition is it includes these things so they don't have to go figure it out on their own. Also, we need to have a credible business address. And again, I know sometimes your opinions will be different than mine, but none of this is about your opinion or my opinion. This is about facts. The address matters of the business. The address matters. Oh, does it have to be some fancy office building? No, but it needs to be a commercial address. And it needs to be a non-shared, needs to be a unique address, a unique suite number. Again, respectfully, I don't care if you disagree with that. If you disagree with it, you're wrong. I'm going to go through just the facts today. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to pitch you anything, not trying to persuade you. I'm telling you what it takes to have a fundable business. And the great thing is you and I have a turnkey solution that has no out-of-pocket cost to help people have that. So we need to start with these two items. If we don't have these two items, nothing else matters. But I do realize you'll probably run into a lot of small businesses that have these items already. So let's move on. It gets a bit more complicated. So we've had these morning Zooms for weeks and months and for years, and we commonly refer to the 3 C's. If you're dismissing the relevance of the 3 C's, you're making a mistake. If you or your clients or your prospective clients think, and we'll go through the 3 C's, of course, in a moment, but if you think, oh, this doesn't matter because it's a new business, you're making a mistake or they're making a mistake. The 3 C's matter. So what are the 3 C's? What does it mean? And then how do we deliver upon that? Because I think if there's questions or even confusion, it falls into the technicalities. So let's dig deep on each of these 3 C's. And if you have questions, you can type it into the Q&A. So these are the ground rules to getting business funding. Does not matter what you think, does not matter what I think. This is the fact. This is the truth. We need to start with this, then we get to the 3 C's. Now, what is true is that there are some sources of capital that do not look at all 3 C's. There are some of them that only look at 2 C's. Some of them only look at 1 C. But in general, for normal business funding, normal business loans, it is the presence of all 3 C's. Okay, so let's start with credit. So what do we know about credit? We'll put some notes here. There's 2 types of credit, isn't there? There's personal, and then there's business. Didn't mean to capitalize that. That was a mistake. Okay, so on credit, there's 2 types of credit, and they're really different, right? So our personal credit is how we've paid our bills, how we've taken care of business ourselves. And then we have, business credit, how the business has taken care of business, how it's taken care of its bills, paid its bills on time. Both are important, but we address both. That's why the asterisk is here. So we know that a lot of times the road to entrepreneurship can be challenging. And so a lot of times entrepreneurs have damaged credit. We know that that's often a problem. Therefore, we've built that in. You can see the bottom bullet of what's included, free credit improvement. Also, we're going to have a business with positive trade lines because that reflects to lenders that our business is real, we pay our bills, and we pay our bills on time. So is credit important? Yes. Now, a lot of times you're in a difficult position. As a reseller, you're out talking to prospects, and sometimes what they want to hear is not the truth. They want to hear something that's too good to be true. So they'll come up to you, let's say DeAndre. They'll come up to DeAndre and say, hey, well, personal credit doesn't matter, does it? And you're kind of caught because it's like, well, it depends. Some sources of capital, business funding, look at personal credit. Some don't. However, don't worry about it because we can help you improve your personal credit if that's an issue, and that's free. It's included. Does business credit matter? Well, of course it does. I mean, business credit, let's get to credit in general, regardless of personal or business. I need you to separate any personal emotions, because typically, if we find ourselves in life with bad credit, we kind of want to dismiss its importance, but we need to step back and be objective here and look at this as a reseller, not as a consumer. Of course, credit matters. It's the demonstrated ability of us individually and or our businesses to pay on time. And what are we trying to do? We're trying to get business funding. How in the world would we think that lenders wouldn't care if we pay our bills on time? Now, again, do all of them look at personal? No. Can we fix personal issues? Yes, included. Do all of them pull business credit reports? No, but many do. But what we know is, in general, credit is important and it's included. The little asterisk, I guess, well, I'll get to that in a moment, but the asterisk means it's included. So, what does it take to get business funding? We need to have the core entity itself, and then we need to be cognizant of the three C's. When we educate people, we're not saying, oh, you don't qualify. A lot of people, they're of the mindset that we're just looking for reasons to tell them why they won't get funded. No, we're going to take these individuals where they are and get them from where they're at to where they need to be. So if their credit is either poor or not strong, personally or business wise, not a problem. We help them and it's included. Next, collateral. So collateral, and again, I have a lot of clients that they want to dismiss these things. Like it doesn't matter to them, so it doesn't matter to our goal of getting business funding. But this isn't a popularity contest. This isn't a poll of how do you feel, and however you feel is how banks and lenders feel. So yes, collateral is the second of the three C's. That's what the borrower has to pledge as collateral in case of a failure to repay that protects the lender. So is it important? Yes. We address it though. The second from the bottom bullet over here is we provide the collateral. So is credit important? Yes. Does it matter in all cases? No. Do we help with it for free? Yes. Is collateral important? Yes. Do all lenders require collateral? No, but we provide it for free. So we're trying. So when a client enrolls in the Fundable Shelf Corp, our goal is to get them qualified for a portfolio of financing. And we've talked about this before, and I can add a note for you. So that they don't have to do it this way, but we like to create a portfolio of financing instruments. So what we hope to do is to get every client one or more business credit cards. That's not the focus of what we do, but it makes sense, right? Our business has bills to pay. We don't want to pay it with personal credit cards. So having at least one business credit card, I'll make it singular or plural, makes good sense. And that, of course, creates trade lines, which we were talking about here. The second element that we want to include in every shelf corp is a line of credit. Line of credit's great, tends to be a larger amount than what we can normally get approved for a business credit card. If we use it, we pay interest on it. If we don't use it, we don't. As we pay it down, it opens up. So these two kind of act similar, but they're actually different. Third would be a term loan. So the term loan is in the amount that the client needs based upon their business needs, and we'll put together a use of funds for them. And then the fourth would be a company automobile. And again, they don't have to do all four of these, but these are the deliverables that we hope to accomplish by getting each client a shelf corp, because I don't think you could argue, you couldn't give me a valid reason why every business shouldn't have at least one business credit card. I don't think you can come up with a reason why every business shouldn't have a line of credit. So then when we need extra money, it's available. We don't have to go apply. We don't have to wait for it. It's available at our fingertips. The term loan should be in an amount based upon that larger capital raise that we need. And usually these are repaid back over 120 months, over 10 years. And if you're driving a vehicle, why not drive your company vehicle? Fully tax deductible, just makes sense. So this is what we're trying to get to. All right, so back to the collateral and the three C's. So we provide collateral for free because we know it's important. We know a lot of clients don't have it. And then the third C, and this is the one we probably need to spend the most time on, is capacity. So capacity can be referred to as cash flow. So let me add that note. Now, a lot of people, again, they'll hit you with, well, Zon, this doesn't affect me. I've got a new business, right? Three C's don't matter to me. It doesn't apply to me. Well, they're wrong. They don't understand this is what lenders are looking for. And it doesn't matter if you have a new business or an old business. These are the things that matter. And so we need to go out and educate people what it takes to get business funding. And at the same time, you can show them we can provide all of this to them very easily with no upfront cost. Okay, so how do we help with credit? We've discussed. How do we help with collateral? We've discussed. Now we're on capacity and cash flow. So capacity and cash flow is essentially demonstrating to the lender that we can afford the loan, that we can afford to pay what we want to borrow. And so we can accomplish that a couple ways, and I'll break that down for us. So one way that we can accomplish that is through projections, which we provide. Hey, loan us the money will go into our business, we'll make more money, we'll be able to afford to pay the loan back. So projections would be one important part that we provide. So the asterisk means it's included. The next is that we can liquidate the AR. So we said that we're going to provide $100,000 of collateral to each client. Normally that's provided within 24 hours of their enrollment. It comes in the form of accounts receivables. It's real. We can turn around and liquidate that and turn that into cash. And then the third would be the opportunity fund, which gives them the opportunity to have those daily deposits. So we're discussing what does it take to get business funding. We need to have a fundable business. We start with the infrastructure itself. That's included with the Shelf Corp. Then we need to be concerned with the three C's: credit, collateral, capacity. And we address all three of those through the Shelf Corp. That's why we have such great success, is that we can be successful 100% of the time, because it's like a recipe. Can you make chocolate chip cookies? Well, sure you can. If you have a recipe and you have the ingredients, and I guess the oven, then of course you can make chocolate chip cookies. Well, can you get business funding? Can your clients all get business funding? Absolutely. There's a recipe, there's a formula, and that's what we're going through. So then lastly, we do have the loan package. I put the loan package at the bottom of this list because there's the business plan. I think we all kind of understand business plans, but then there's the financials. There's technically two types of financials. There's historical and projections, which we just talked about. But the financials are produced based upon what's going on financially with the business. So the financial is the report that reflects typically our three C's. So I put the three C's first because if we don't have any of these things, then our financials would look like a blank piece of paper. And so again, the loan package is included. You can see that that's part of what you and I provide. So with the Fundable Shelf Corp, I mean, the proposition's pretty strong. Number one, there's no upfront cost, no out-of-pocket cost. We made that decision and we're sticking with that. And so that's been great for you. When you're out talking to prospects, anyone that's looking for funding to start or grow a business, we can help any of them regardless of them, without them having to pay anything out of pocket. That's been helping a number of you close a lot more deals, because when people have to spend money, they become more delayed in their actions and more cautious and more hesitant. But we're literally able to help all of your clients enroll in a Fundable Shelf Corp with no out-of-pocket cost. That first 100,000 will be transferred normally in 24 hours. And then we're providing the resources. So everything that's on the bullets here, everything that's in the agreement that you should have, all of you should have an editable client agreement that you can edit put your information on, or if you need us to do that for you, we can do that through the reseller marketing program that we announced yesterday. So then lastly, we have our resources. If you're not a reseller and want to become one, if you need to talk to someone, call Madison, access past trainings. But with that, let's dig into your questions. We got a few minutes left. What questions do you have about what does it take to get business funding? All right, so France has the first question, and it's a good one. So when we're providing a shelf corp, we're providing a turnkey business in a box. It is ready to go. It's set up for a $100,000 capital raise. Well, why is that? Well, we're including 100,000 of collateral. The business plan's built for 100,000 capital raise, the financial projections. But what France is getting to is, can we do more for the client? Absolutely. And there's really two ways that we can approach that. We can either get their first 100,000 first, put that in their pocket, and then go after a second capital raise. Or if they want, we can go in and edit and change these things to make it stronger for a larger capital raise. So let's say I had a client yesterday, forget his name. Let me pull up his name just so it's more real here. Let's see. His name was Taekwon. So Taekwon asked, is looking for $12 million. 12 million, it's a big ticket. So does the Shelf Corp come ready for a $12 million capital raise? No, it doesn't. We're not misrepresenting that. It comes ready for a $100,000 capital raise. Because see, everything has to match up. This isn't a game where you just roll dice and land on payday and get money. So the business plan for the Shelf Corp is set up for 100,000. The financials are set up for 100,000. The credit, the collateral, the capacity, it's all set up for 100,000. So France's question is essentially, what do we do when the client wants more than 100,000? That's fine. We can either option one, deliver the Shelf Corp as it is, get the first 100,000, get that in their pocket, get you paid, and then repeat the process. Or we can not go after the initial 100,000 and start modifying everything before we go to funding. And so that's going to obviously complicate it. When I say complicated, it's not a bad thing, but everything needs to match up. So now the business plan doesn't say, oh, I need 100,000. It says, oh, I need 12 million, like Taekwon. So if you ask me my preference would be to start with the initial 100,000. Let's get 100,000 in as many clients' pockets as possible. They go out and they become your testimonial, they become your references, and then we can move on to go after a larger capital raise as a subsequent step. But you will have some clients that say, no, 100,000 isn't what I need more. And so they still sign up with you the same way. Same Fundable Shelf Corp. We're still going to deliver the Shelf Corp as it stands, but then we will work with them to make the edits that are necessary. The edits that are necessary obviously could impact a lot of things. It could impact the collateral. It's going to affect our capacity. It's going to affect the business plan. It's going to affect the financials. So it's not a problem, but we'll work with them to go after a larger capital raise. But my preference is let's get them a Shelf Corp. Let's get them 100,000 quickly. Let's get money in your pocket, and then we can go after more money after we've achieved that initial deliverable. All right, Michael wants to talk to Madison. Madison's on the line. Madison, Michael wants you to call him. I don't know how I'm in the middle of this, but Michael, you can call Madison here, and Madison knows that Michael is going to call him. All right, let's see. Michael says this answered one of his questions. Okay, well, my goal is to answer all your questions. So what other questions do you have? I think we've taken a pretty deep dive into, at the most basic level, what does it take to get business funding? Because you'll just run into, and I want to say this carefully, you'll run into so much financial illiteracy. People think, no, I don't need any of this. I just want my fucking $12 million. Well, dude, you're not going to just get $12 million. You got to qualify for it. Well, what does that mean? Well, we need an entity. We need the 3 C's. and we need a loan package to substantiate it. That's what you need if you want 12 million or 5 million or 1 million or 100,000 or even 50,000. It's not too good to be true. And that's what we're providing with the Shelf Corp are these deliverables. This is what's needed. Every business owner has the ability to buy or build, right? They can build a fundable business on their own, which is fine, but that could take longer, a lot more uncertainties. Or they can buy a Shelf Corp from you, and it's ready to go to funding in a week. So we will deliver the 100,000 in 24 hours. We ask for 7 days to get all the documentation, because you got to remember, this business is not in the client's name the moment that they paid you or the moment they signed up. So we ask for a week to get everything in their name at the state and federal level. We can deliver all the deliverables normally in 7 days. So theoretically, we're ready to go to funding on the 8th day. Who else has questions, comments, concerns? So again, if you're not a reseller, you want to become a reseller, it's free. Not even a contract to sign if you want to be a reseller. Just email us and let us know. We rolled out yesterday, and if you missed it, you can go to the trainings, a reseller support program. It provides some extra resources for a cost if you want it. It provides a landing page. We'll build out your client contract for you and put it into e-signature format. A lot of deliverables there, but I won't rehash that. You can view yesterday's training if you'd like. Who else has questions, comments? Because ultimately, you and I can measure the success of ourselves, me as a trainer and you as a reseller. Are you going to go sign someone up today? Are you going to enroll someone? Mr. Harris, thank you for joining us. Mr. Harris, are you going to go enroll a client today? Mr. Perez, are you going to go enroll a client today? Mr. Johnson? So at some point, we should be able to, as a reseller, start enrolling clients. And that's how we help people, and that's how we make money. So I don't want to overlook that. If you need help, give Madison a call. I'm sure she can help you. 903-352-3390, and we'll see you back tomorrow morning. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.